Welcome back, literary slummers, to another episode of HateRead. I'm Anna.
And I'm Em. Every fortnight here on HateRead, one of us challenges the other to read a book, or sometimes a listener challenges both of us to read a book, which is what happened this fortnight. Friend of the podcast, friend of Anna, Kristen, challenged us to read An Anonymous Girl by two people whose names I don't
Greer,
have
Hendricks,
handy.
and Sarah Pekkanen.
By Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. And I will seamlessly edit
Please
that.
don't. Which I was listening to the last episode, and I don't think we ever said what the name of the book was.
We didn't. We definitely didn't.
So
we said the name of the book. We did say the name of the book,
I just couldn't remember it.
Unless I cut it out.
I couldn't remember. But like I was like, I don't think we said what the book was called.
We definitely didn't say the names of the authors because I was shocked to learn there were two authors. So like we definitely didn't say the names of the
Well,
authors.
apologies to last week.
Because we are
if you were waiting in
professionals.
anticipation to find out what the book was called so you could read along with us.
Quickly, go to your local
Pause
library.
the podcast now. Get on that waiting list because this is a new release, so you'll probably have to wait a while. Or just buy it and then come back.
Yes. But first things first / second, because we didn't say this first. Anna, did you finish the book?
I did. Em, did you finish the book?
I sure did.
Excellent.
What'd you think?
Well, okay. I was super, into parts of this book.
Okay.
There were parts of it I hated. There were parts of it that I was super into, and I thought they were going to balance each other in the end. But then, the ending happened, and it was so underwhelming. I just wanted to throw this book across the room. I thought it was so just that's it.
Common emotion here on HateRead. Yeah, I feel very okay, I know this is going to be a little bit samey because this was pretty much my response last week. I was indifferent. It was I definitely think if I cared about thrillers, I would be annoyed by the end of this book, but because I don't like thrillers, I just didn't care. I was just whatever, who cares? And there were definitely parts of I will say there were parts of the book that were well crafted and I think interesting if you're into this type of book. But again, I'm just not. And maybe one day we will find the mystery thriller that unlocks the secret longings of my heart, and I will learn to love them.
I hope it has to do with
Detective
Detective Cats.
Today.
Honestly,
Detective Cats is closer. We shouldn't reference Detective Cats too much because we've talked about we might end up taking that episode down. But this is just very. I just didn't care. I just didn't care about any of it. And again, I think it was good. I think this was one of those books where I'm I feel like it was a good book probably. I might. This is getting way ahead, but I might suggest other books by these authors, maybe.
Yeah, they have another one called The Other Wife, I think.
Yeah, The Wife Between
The
Us.
Wife Between Us. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That means.
Which and I don't know, Kristen, if you knew this when you challenged us to this book, but I hate stories that have cheating as part of the narrative. I hate that. It's stupid. I don't want to read about about your infidelity or your ability to make someone commit adultery or whatever. That's just not appealing to me. I think those people who do that are garbage. But also it sounds like their other book might be about that because The Wife Between Us. So maybe not for me, but for people who like thrillers. I have read reviews and stuff that said their first book was really great, but a lot of people are kind of underwhelmed by the ending to this one. Other people all loved it though, so I don't know. Listen and decide for yourself, or don't.
Yeah,
listen
maybe get to
and decide for yourself.
Maybe get to the however long this takes, the first 40 minutes or whatever of the summary, and if it seems cool, stop listening before we get to the big twist ending, which wasn't really that big of a twist ending. And then go read it. I don't know. This is another one where I feel definitely this is a subjective thing for me. I didn't like it particularly, but I think it probably appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Gone Girl type book, this would probably be right up your alley.
which my mother has been trying to get me to read Gone Girl for like 3 years now, and still hasn't happened. So
I'm gonna read it to you on vacation.
Please don't do that.
I'm gonna bring it with me and I'm gonna read it to you.
Why? All right, let's get into this book.
All right. We will probably be glossing over a lot of the more finer details because this is a thriller. It's plot heavy. There's just so many things that happen. So, if it seems a little disjointed or like if you feel like there's some details missing, it's probably because there are, and I just don't care. Sorry.
And it's definitely not because one of the hosts took exactly 0 notes this week and barely remembers what happened in this book.
It's okay. I took 3 pages of notes, which is more than my 1 page of notes, so that kind of made up for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's only because of the plot. So
yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll jump into it. Jess Fields is a 20-something makeup artist living in New York City. Oh, did I say Fields? Fields, yeah. Shields. Jess Ferris is a 20-something makeup artist living in New York City. She has a lot of bills to pay.
I only remembered it's Ferris because I misread it as farts once.
Hi, my name's Jess Farts.
I mean, like, I knew that was wrong.
Would you like me to do your makeup? I'm Jess Farts.
Jessica Farts.
Oh, my God. Jess has no money because she lives in New York City. She's a makeup artist, but also because she has to secretly help her parents afford the doctor visits and therapy sessions for her younger sister, who suffers from some sort of physical and mental development.
Brain boo-boos.
Yeah, she fell out of a window when she was a child, and Jess thinks it's her fault, which is why she's paying for everything.
I mean, to be fair, it kind of is.
Kind of was, but it was kind of everyone's fault.
No, but it was mainly her
spread
fault.
Out the blame.
No, it was mainly.
Yeah,
and that was bullshit. It was mainly her fault.
Yeah, it was kind of, yeah, she's pretty negligent. So one day she's doing the makeup of one of her clients because I guess her job is she's like a door-to-door makeup artist, but you have to like sign up. It's like an Uber for makeup.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Lyft.
Yes.
But makeup.
Yes. So she goes to one of her clients' houses and she overhears them talking about a psychological study that one of the girls signed up to participate in, which will pay her $500, which is absolutely outrageous to me.
Fuck wild. Like
I'm over here on MTurk taking surveys for 10 cents, and this girl is passing up the opportunity for $500. Whatever.
Well, no, the idea that...
Well, yeah, I don't know what grant that this doctor had that allowed her to pay her participants $500 a piece, but...
I think it was implied that at least at the point, and this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, sorry, but I think at least at the point that Miss Farts was involved... This is so juvenile.
I don't care. That's her official name.
So at the point that Miss Farts was involved, she was using the Dr. Shield was using her own money. I think that's the only way to make sense of this because, yeah, she was at the university though. Like someone signed off on this weird ass study. That, I
think it was definitely legit up until she was like, "Come to my place and I will further your research."
I mean,
then it was out of pocket.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of it was legit and how much wasn't, because
$500 is an outrageous sum to pay.
Someone had to even ignoring the $500. This study makes no sense. Like this is what are you doing? Like you're just essentially okay. Let's get to the part with the study, because
this other girl was like, I'm not gonna go to the study. So Jess is like, all right, I'm gonna sneakily go in her place and pretend to be this girl. And essentially the study is like, it's a 4-hour survey which takes place over 2 days.
The study is like a convo on Omegle. That's what this study is.
Yes.
It's fucking chat roulette. It's what this study is.
It's so fucking weird.
So
like,
stupid.
The second the computer started talking back to me, I'd have been like, no, I'm out. I'm sorry.
Like, nah.
This is weird. So... The survey is supposed to be on, like, questions about your morals and ethics. And so the computer asks questions. Oh, I say the computer. But the survey asks questions that's like, could you tell a lie without feeling guilty? Or tell me about a time you cheated? Or, like, have you ever done something purposefully to hurt someone you love? Or something like that.
But instead of being, like, a scale of, like, have you ever, do you agree with the statement? I have cheated before. 1, strongly disagree. 10, strongly agree, whatever.
Everyone's
It's
favorites.
like, write me a fucking essay. Like, what?
Yeah,
how
like,
are you gonna
how can you quantify
data?
that? Yes, exactly.
This is a poorly designed study. Who agreed to this?
I don't know.
Your department head needs to be contacted.
Well, she's only an adjunct too, which I'm like, how were you even given like the resources to do this as an adjunct professor? I don't understand.
This is another instance where the villain, which, like, kind of spoiler, but I mean, at least she's implied to be a villain through most of this. Whether that is the case remains to be seen.
We will discuss at a later date.
But the villain is given so much to do, and I just don't know how they fit it all in their schedule.
I don't either, because she's a working woman.
She's like, she has a full client load. She's an adjunct professor. Like,
she does take a leave of absence from
that's
teaching.
true, from the professor thing, but she still has therapy people, right? She's still doing therapy stuff.
Yeah, she's still meeting clients.
So she's still doing that. And before all this goes down, she was an adjunct professor. She was teaching classes. She was apparently designing poorly designed research studies and then implementing them. And she also has a full client load. Like, what? When is she doing all of this?
I don't know why she bothers with being an adjunct professor. Like, that doesn't pay. You have your own private practice. Go focus on that.
She's doing it for love of this really great research study.
Or it's all part of her scheme. It was just such a, like, multi-layered con that she became an adjunct professor at NYU. So
just in case her husband one day cheated on her with
Yep. She just had that in her back pocket from the day she said I do. But so I guess she performs. So she answers these questions, the long form essays. But then there's a couple times where the computer like turns around and is like, "No, Jessica, tell me more." Oh no, excuse me. So it's subject 52. You need to go more in depth on your answers. I'm very disappointed. And so then she like kind of has this back and forth with the computer, which we find out is actually Dr. Shields, who decides that Jessica is a good enough subject to enter into the second part of the study where you'll be doing more in-depth research and weirder things. And Jess is like, okay.
Which, okay, I thought about this a lot because on the one hand, like you already said, like as soon as the computer started talking back, you'd be out of there, right? Like, but I also have no money. So like I do kind of get like... It's $500 to answer, to essentially be on Omegle for 2 hours, or as it goes on, it turns into basically she gets therapy and gets paid for it. Like,
this is true.
It's very sketchy, and I think that's the thing. Like, I think Jessica like underreacts to some things and overreacts to some things.
Yes,
and like I definitely feel like she should have been more like, this is weird. This is not how studies work. Studies, like, I might not have gone to college or whatever, but, like, I understand that studies are not me going to therapy for 2 hours. Like, that doesn't make sense. And she gets, like, really, like, freaked out by other stuff, like the tortoiseshell glasses later on. And
oh, my gosh. But, or, like, there's a whole part of this book where she, like, I don't know. For some reason, she just, like, freaks out after having done these sessions for a while. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I need to know more about Dr. Shields urgently. And if I don't find out anything before I go to see her again in 48 hours, the world will explode. I don't know.
It's because she's like, I've been telling her all these secrets, and I don't know what she's going to do with these secrets. And, like, she has no other reason at this point for suspecting Dr. Shields is up to no good.
Yes, that is true.
As a participant in a research study, the solution would be to go to the person in charge of the research study and be like, hey, what's the deal with this research study? Not to like start stalking other people in order to try to get more information about like people who are pretty much unrelated to this situation.
She's like, I need to know more about Dr. Shields, even though I've Googled her and, like, watched her talks and seen her papers. Like, I just want to make sure she's legitimate by making sure she taught a class at NYU one time.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't really do anything.
Prove anything.
But then, like, as soon as she finds out, like, oh, whew, all right, I'm good. Like, what?
Yeah, so it's like, I don't understand why you got freaked out by this in the first place. Like, that's not the thing that would freak me out.
Yes.
But now that you have been freaked out, like, you need to remain at that level.
Yeah. You don't sink back into complacency here, Miss Farts. But so Dr. Shields is the psychiatrist and adjunct professor at NYU who's in charge of this study, and she's basically like a perfect robot Stepford wife, who's very beautiful.
See, I thought more Sherlock Holmes, like
Oh yeah, I think they
Cumberbatch's
did try to
Holmes.
like more maybe like a Moriarty than a Sherlock Holmes though, but I could see both. She's like just knows when people are lying and can see through them.
And she's very cold and clinical and doesn't use apostrophes.
Yes, and refers to Miss Farts as Jessica.
Yeah.
So the chapters actually alternate between her and Jess's perspectives. So Jess is in first person, and then Dr. Shields is in second person, which is an interesting choice, but we find out like there's a reason for it. But I don't know. How do you feel about having the second person narrative in there?
I feel good. I feel good
you
about
liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was interesting.
It added to the eeriness, I thought. And
yeah,
honestly,
I didn't want to get too much into it because it's kind of my silver lining.
Oh, okay. We will talk about that again at the end. Stay tuned. So like we mentioned, they do these therapy sessions where Dr. Shields actually pays Miss Farts to do therapy. And they're like getting really close and just kind of like idolizes Dr. Shields a little bit. And it gets to the point where Dr. Shields asks Jessica to get dressed up, go to a bar, and try and pick up an obviously married guy. And it is revealed to the reader that the reason Dr. Shields is doing this is because she discovered
Buck Wild.
Yeah. discovered her husband Thomas had cheated on her. So she's trying to recreate the scenario to see if all men are susceptible to beautiful young women or just her husband.
Like, okay.
First of all,
listen.
I don't know, like, how did...
Both of us have our head in our hands right now. I want you all to know that. Both of us are literally sitting here, like, clutching our foreheads.
So here's this woman that's like, I am so good at emotions and therapy and knowing like people's motivations and things like that. But I don't know, like, I just can't fathom a world where someone would cheat on me. So it must be a deficiency to all men that anytime that they see a young, pretty woman, they can't help but sleep with her. Like, how does that...
I mean, I can wrap my head around that because I get that she might be good at other people's emotions, but maybe isn't good at her own emotions. Like, I can accept that as a thing.
Okay.
As a person who is not good at their own emotions, but is pretty good at giving advice on other people's emotions. But here's what I don't get. You are a research professor who has access to research that has been done on infidelity. Like, why do you think this is a good way to suss this one out? Like, this sample size of one is going to solve your issue.
No, she's subject 52. She was...
But no, I'm not talking about farts. I'm talking about the guy. Like,
you're right.
Did go off with Jessica, that does not prove that every married man would do that. Like, you would need to literally repeat this trap
with
like
every
800
man.
times.
Every married man.
I mean, I will suggest that you could do a sample, but it needs to be a bigger sample than one, certainly. That's not good research. This is really my biggest issue with this book, is Dr. Shields is not good at research.
It certainly does not seem that way. She's just good at manipulating people.
Yeah.
Which I was totally on board with her as a villain until it came to moments like these. And I'm just like, why do we have to have this woman, like, just completely weakened and destroyed by the fact that her husband cheated on her? I don't know. Like, I just, like, she seems so, like, powerful and cool in other ways. And then, like, just to have this whole, like, the whole thing was because she was betrayed by her husband. Which, yes, I get. That is a very, like, traumatic thing to have happen to you. But to have it completely, like, unhinge her in this way, I don't know.
I mean, I think there's kind of suggestions from Thomas, that's the husband, by the way, Thomas, that she has always been unhinged, if we're gonna, call it that, which, I mean, like, whatever. I think there is definitely a suggestion there that this is not necessarily strictly, like, because of the way she talks about her sister. Because like way later in the book, there's a whole thing about how Dr. Shields, when she was younger, her sister took her boyfriend, or her and her boyfriend broke up. The sister ended up with the boyfriend. The sister was out late with the boyfriend. Dr. Shields locked her out of the house. The sister ended up getting back in the car with the boyfriend and died in an accident because the boyfriend was drunk. And while thinking about this, Dr. Shields is like, basically like, well, she got what was coming to her and it's not really my fault, and shows like no remorse. So I think it's kind of supposed to be implied that it's not necessarily these other people doing things that's causing her to behave in this way, that she is just kind of a sociopath. But then, like, she does feel genuine love for Thomas. So,
yeah. Like, and she never wants, like, get revenge on him. It's just...
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I just didn't... I was really behind her as, like, this good creepy villain, and then for, like, to reveal her motivation as this, I was just like, oh. And
I thought it was going to be that Thomas was the big bad at the end. Like, I really
did think that for a while too.
You know, and it was just we haven't got to the end of the book.
Yeah,
so
we'll keep going. I think we're like about a fourth of the way through. Unsurprising to a lot of people, but surprisingly to Dr. Shields, the married man rejects Jess, saying that he is happily married, and so this sends Dr. Shields into like a further spiral of, I need to figure out why this happened. So Dr. Shields then purposefully makes her husband sick by feeding him hazelnuts, which he's allergic to. And for the purpose of giving him a headache, so that he would go into another room for aspirin, so that she could steal some phone numbers off of his phone, of his like most recent dialed.
Surely there was a more effective way to do this.
Surely.
Like, I don't know. They're estranged. Here, I'm going to pitch it.
Okay.
They're estranged. They're having this dinner. She says, oh, you know, I feel so, you know, at ease with you now. I feel like we're really reconnecting. And she said, like it's in the narrative that they have not had sex since they separated. So she's like, oh, why don't you go head on into the bedroom and like get comfortable, and I'll be in a minute. There, done. Get his fucking phone. Done. Donezo. Why are you poisoning him? And then, you know, if you don't actually want to have sex with him, go back like a few minutes later and be like, oh, now I don't want to. Please leave.
Or
like,
poison yourself at that point.
Or poison yourself. Yeah, be like, oh, I think I have food poisoning. Like, there's a lot of other options. Which, to be fair, like, she specifically says, like, his allergy is not that bad. But also, food allergies can change over time and get way worse over time. So, actually, that's really not an excuse.
That could have gotten a lot worse than it did. She's like, oh, it's a 3 aspirin headache.
Oh, it's anaphylactic shock, I guess now. Whoopsie. My bad. Like,
so she does like some preliminary research with the phone numbers, but ends up giving them to Jess to call to tell them they want a free makeover from her Uber of makeup. Which Jess is uncomfortable with. Again, another situation which Jess should have been like, I'm out. Jess is uncomfortable with this because she could lose her job because of a non-compete clause in her job contract, where she cannot use her company's name in order to do makeup on the side, which makes sense. But she does it anyway. She goes to these women's houses.
Dr. Shields is such a good manipulator.
Yes. Oh, she owes Dr. Shields so much. She goes to these women's houses to do their makeovers, and I guess it was Dr. Shields tells Jess that these women were once involved in the study, and she needs Jess to go and ask them questions on the DL about their demographics, which Jess is obviously sketched out by this. She's like, well, shouldn't they already have all that on file? But, oh, well, I guess I'll go.
Yeah, this is the thing. Even if she wants to continue the study, like, you have options. Go to someone at the university and be like, hey, I'm in this study. Is this a legitimate study? Like, is there any oversight to this study? Because if it is an actual research study, other people will know about it besides this one fucking professor.
And, well, she does try to, like, go to the research assistant at one point, but he's like, I signed an NDA. I can't say anything about anything to you except for it might be sketchy. And she's like, I just don't know. Like, okay.
There's no way to tell. There's no possible other avenue that I could go down at a university to figure out what the deal is with one of their faculty, who also isn't working there right now, I have found. So, like, there's so many red flags.
She's writing me personal checks to do this. Like, girl.
There's so many red flags, but she keeps turning at, like, the blue flags instead. I'm like, what are you doing?
Where's your self-preservation instinct, Miss Farts? Where? So she goes and speaks to these people, but the results show that Thomas is not sleeping with any of these women, but Jess's life is put at risk because she's made to go to the house of an abusive drug addict. Because guess what? It also turns out Thomas is a psychiatrist, and these were his clients. So,
but you would think Dr. Shields would kind of, I don't know, have thought of that.
Yes.
It's her fucking husband. Like, you would think she'd be like, yeah, probably some of these people he's calling are, like, his clients, though.
Yeah, and, like, also I shouldn't, like, be privy to that information, because later she pretends like that's important to her, like the patient
her
confidentiality.
Morals, this is the thing with Dr. Shields. I need to stop saying this is the thing. Dr. Shields is very, like, heavy on morals and, like, having a moral code. Mm-hmm. But it changes depending on what Dr. Shields needs and wants at any given time. Mm-hmm. Which I think makes her probably a good villain. Like, I don't think that's really a knock on the writing or anything. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the point, that it's like...
she can rationalize things away.
Yeah, I think that both Shields and Farts have these moral codes. Farts knows that she's breaking them and understands that.
Yes.
And she's like, yeah, I am doing bad things
doing
sometimes.
It for money.
But I'm doing it for money, and, like, I have these other reasons. Mm-hmm. Whereas Shields is like, oh, I didn't break my moral code because of XYZ thing. And it's like, no, but you did, though. So I think it is very inconsistent, but I think I'll give it a pass, because I think that's intentional.
Yeah. In between all of that stuff that was happening, Dr. Shields orchestrated for Jess to accidentally bump into Thomas, because she feels like, okay, so I tried to recreate this scenario with a stranger and it didn't work, so now I need to recreate the scenario exactly to try and manipulate my husband into sleeping with another woman.
The way she does this is, again, just absolutely buck wild. That she's like, I'm going to send the two of them to a museum and they will fuck. And it's like, well, okay, but, like,
she sends them separately. So they don't, and neither of them knows that they're going to meet the other. Like, Jess doesn't even know why she's there. She's told to just go there for 30 minutes and then leave. Right. And she does go and have a conversation with someone, and Dr. Shields, like, thinks that it was Thomas, but it wasn't really. But Jess and Thomas do end up meeting each other outside of the museum. There was, like, an accident, and it was totally unintended, and Jess didn't even know it was part of the study, so she never mentioned it to Dr. Shields. They did meet, and they did end up sleeping together, which becomes important to the plot, but neither of them knew the identity of the other when they slept together.
I mean, I think Thomas knew Jessica's identity in the sense that, like, she said her real name, like, but he didn't know her relation to his wife.
Didn't know that they were both connected to Dr. Shields and brought together for a purpose. A
sinister purpose.
Stupid purpose. Dr. Shields, thinking the first meeting has failed, organizes another meeting and tells Jess, this time you need to get his phone number and try to sleep with him.
Which, again, red flag. Girl, get out.
Please leave at that point. You are being asked to put yourself out there in ways that no one should ask you to. Like, why are you still going along with this?
And again, this is I get that not everyone is going to be, like, super thoroughly aware of research ethics. Like, if you just don't have a research background or whatever. Like, I don't have a research background. I'm not in research or anything. Mm-hmm. But, like, you have to assume, if someone is like, hey, we're doing this study, I want you to fuck a guy. Like, there is no study that's gonna be...
That's not getting past the IRB, honey.
That's not gonna work. Like...
But it's even dumber because the two, they recognize each other the second time that they are accidentally meeting because they have slept together at this point. And then somehow Thomas just jumps to the conclusion that his wife is involved and leaves just this ominous voicemail that's like, be careful, she's dangerous.
Not somehow. Because Jess has Dr. Shield's book poking out of her purse.
I totally forgot about that.
Which is honestly dumber than if he had just assumed.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, the cover of her book was peeking out of her purse.
Like, why did Jess have that book?
How did he notice?
He's like, I knew that you must know my wife because of that book which she wrote in our very living room 4 years ago. It's like, okay, right, cool. But, like, she could have just bought it. It's not like it was unpublished.
Exactly.
And again, I don't know why Jess had that book. Like,
there was no reason for her to be reading it. I don't know. Maybe it was part of her ongoing research to make sure that Dr. Shields was a good person, but clearly she was also not good at research, so...
But she, at least, that's not her job, so that's kind of okay.
Yeah, I guess. See, now Thomas is just like Sherlock Holmes, too. Man, yeah. Real meeting of the minds here. So basically, for the last, 100-something pages of the book, Jess is just sketched out and doesn't know who she can trust. She and Thomas work together to discover some secrets, but then she decides she can't trust Thomas.
Yeah, this was kind of a fun part because this was probably the closest I came to liking this book because there was this period of time where we as the audience had pretty much all of the info, and it was just the various characters in different combos not having, which is, I like that. I like when I know things a lot more. Because I liked them running around and it being like Dr. Shields is like, well, she must have done this, and it's like, then Jess is like, I definitely didn't do that thing. I definitely didn't do that thing, and I think Dr. Shields did this, and it goes back to Dr. Shields, and she's like, I think Thomas did this, and it's like Thomas is like, no, I definitely didn't. So that was kind of fun, just the farcicalness of it all, none of them have any fucking clue what's going on, but they're all trying to suss it out.
It's like the part in Scooby-Doo where they're running through all the doors and they keep coming out of different doors. Yeah.
Because Thomas thinks that, Thomas is worried that his part in this deep, dark secret is going to get revealed. So he's trying to figure out who knows what. Jess is just trying to figure out, who she can trust, like you said. And then Dr. Shields, at this point, suspects Jess of having slept with Thomas and is, trying to figure out, how to punish her and whatever. So, they've all kind of got, different motivations, and they're all interplaying in an interesting way, I thought. More than because you get the two different perspectives. I thought it ended up being pretty interesting in those segments.
Yeah, I think that having the Dr. Shields chapters there really helped. I think if we had to follow just Jess, just farting around for 100 pages trying to figure shit out, that would have been unbearable. But
yeah, probably.
So I guess here's basically the bullet points of what happened.
So if you care about spoilers, turn it off now.
Yes. This is it. This is the whole reveal. Dr. Shields had another research participant at one time, Subject 5. And they had a similar relationship as Jess and Dr. Shield do. Subject 5 eventually committed suicide, but the circumstances of her death sketched Jess out even further than she had already been sketched out. She is so sketched. It's incredible.
She's a full-on Etch-a-Sketch.
At one point, Jess breaks into Dr. Shields' house with the help of Thomas to get access to Dr. Shields' files on Jess and Subject 5, and she finds out that the study is really about trying to seduce Thomas to see if he's a serial cheater. And along the way, discovers that Subject 5, whose name is actually April, was the one that Thomas cheated on his wife with, and also that Thomas was her therapist. And she starts putting the pieces together.
But Dr. Shields ostensibly does not know that Subject 5 was the woman. Thomas invented
That's what they all think,
yeah, Thomas, fed her a story. Basically, Thomas is, trying to get out of the relationship and faked an affair.
Yeah.
So that he could get out of the relationship, but then he had this actual affair that happened months prior.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he couldn't use that affair to get out of the relationship because Subject 5, whose name I can't remember,
April
was his client or his, patient. So like he couldn't admit to that affair to his wife because then she would have something on him, essentially. And they all believe that she doesn't know about the affair with April.
But because she is like a Sherlock Holmes, she does know.
And she faked her research notes to make it seem like she didn't know about the affair with April, but she did.
She's just so smart. She's like 10 steps ahead of everyone the whole time.
So far ahead of them.
Dr. Shields realizes that Jess is getting wise to her, so she takes steps to alienate Jess from her friends and family. She gets Jess fired from her work, so she has to rely on Dr. Shields for money and stuff, and she gives her parents and her sister a free vacation to Florida so that they're not around, and she makes Jess's boyfriend break up with her by telling him lies, and it's all very creepy and good, and I like that aspect of the story.
See, I didn't like that part because it was back to dumb thriller stuff. Sorry.
Everything comes to a head on Christmas Day, where Dr. Shields has Jess and her husband over for dinner. And I'm like, ooh, how's this going to end? Who's going to die? I can't wait to read this. Dr. Shields thinks that Thomas and Jess have slept together. They have. She wants to hear the truth from them. She says she will speak to each of them individually, and if one gives up the other, she will reward them by not blackmailing them or something. I didn't understand.
Yeah, she has blackmail material on both of them.
Yes. Jess is like, oh, this is just like that thing I read on Facebook, The Prisoner's Dilemma or something. And she basically solves the puzzle. She admits that she and Thomas were sleeping together, but also reveals that the reason April killed herself was because Dr. Shields gave her a shit ton of Vicodin and then made her feel like poo-poo. She didn't technically murder April, but she was the reason for April's death. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
And of course she did this because she knew about the affair.
Yeah, and because she did it because she wanted to protect Thomas.
Yes, she didn't want
that's
anything
kind of the
bad
thing
to
that
happen to Thomas.
Comes up at the end is that, like, the way that Jess figures out the solution to the prisoner's dilemma in this case is that if she lies, or if she tells the truth, she thinks Thomas will lie because Thomas is at heart a good person, which there's no evidence to support that up to this point, but I guess, whatever.
He just seems to me like one of those fake rich boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she thinks, okay, if I lie, if I tell the truth, Thomas will lie. And then, like, Dr. Shields will still try to, like, pin the blame on me. So Thomas will see what a bad person she actually is. Mm-hmm. And then Thomas will, like, turn against her or whatever. And because of all of this, like, it becomes clear that what Dr. Shields really cares about is protecting Thomas, and that's why she didn't kill or, manipulate murder April out of jealousy so much as she was worried that she would eventually spill the beans on Thomas.
Yes.
So that is also lame because as annoying as the, like, woman scorned trope is, mm-hmm. I hate it a little less than this, which is I will do anything to stand by my man.
Yeah, what did he do to deserve that?
Nothing. Exactly. He was a Garbo boy.
He cheated on his wife with his patient.
Yeah.
Ew. And his patient, who was like, 15 years younger than him. Like, ugh. But, oh, yeah. So basically, Thomas is like, oh, no, I hate you. And Dr. Shields is like, oh, I hate that you hate me. And so she writes herself a prescription for Vicodin and takes it all and dies.
I think in addition to hating, she knew that Jess was gonna, like, out her, right? Like, Jess was gonna...
They were gonna call the cops the next day.
Yeah, so she realized that would put Thomas on blast.
Yeah.
So she was like, gotta protect my man still. Which is why this
she was like, there was no... I had to find the line because it was just, like, so stupid. She's like, there was no light in my life anymore.
It is completely dark out now. The endless sky is devoid of a single star.
Yes.
Without Thomas, there will be no light tomorrow. I write myself a prescription for 30 Vicodin pills, more than enough.
Yeah. So she basically just does it because Thomas don't like her no more. That's how I read it, which
yeah, but it also,
me.
it says all of the questions like right before that, it's all of the questions Mrs. Voss sought will finally be answered. Thomas's involvement with April is left out of the note. It may be enough to save him. So, like, she thinks by confessing she'll save Thomas. It's just, no matter what, it's that she's sad because her husband doesn't love her, and also she wants to still protect her husband who doesn't love her, which is, like, real lame.
Yes. And
also her husband is a Garbo boy who doesn't follow the morals that she supposedly espouses so heavily.
And ultimately it doesn't work, because then at the end Jess is like, I know all of this about Thomas, so I'm going to blackmail him into giving me all of the money from your estate now that you're dead, Dr. Shields. And that's how the book ends.
Yep.
Which I was like, what?
Well, I mean, let's get into silver linings, because I do want to talk about the stuff I liked in this book. So, number one, I liked the you stuff. And I actually don't want to talk about that as much as I thought I did, because I thought that was going to be my main silver lining. But I think, kind of having talked about it now, I think what I do like about this book is that it has an interesting take on morality, in that the stuff that's interesting in this book is looking at how people interpret morality, right? So like you have Dr. Shields, and she has like a system of morality that she wants the world to follow, and gets very upset when people fall out of it. Like when she finds out Jess lies to her, she gets very upset about that, even though she herself does not follow it and does not hold people to the same level. So she had Jess, on the other hand, like I said, is like does believe in these sort of morals, and you see that more as she gets involved in this study. But there's also like this interesting sort of like acknowledgement that that morality is performative, right? That she's doing things she's trying to be more moral because she knows someone is watching now, because she feels like Dr. Shields is going to judge her for stuff. That is true.
Yeah, because she does like ask that a lot. Like, what would Dr. Shields think about? Is this ethical? Blah, blah, blah.
So like that stuff is kind of more interesting. And then like towards the end, I think what it eventually lands on, for Jess at least, is that like it's what she's like, it's interesting because she doesn't really have a character arc. She comes back to what she said at the very beginning, where she says like, the only one I can trust is myself, and I have to worry about myself. And that's what she comes back to, is that she says, you know what, like, this isn't a moral thing to do, to blackmail someone, but I'm gonna do it because I have to look out for myself. And she ends it, like, the last section of the book is back in that second person, where she's imagining it as Dr. Shields describing this scene. So it's again, like, through the lens of this person who she has kind of turned into her like judge, jury in terms of morals. Like the end of it is like, or maybe an insistent question will haunt you, was it all worth it, Jessica? So it's like, again, kind of like that she's only able to suss out if this is moral or not through exterior judgment. And I thought all of that stuff about like morality and ethics and stuff like that was really interesting. It was just, it was in this stupid plot about cheating. Like I didn't care about that.
I didn't care about any of the drama that surrounded any of the other stuff.
That was all a lot. So I'm going to recap real quick.
Okay.
And then ask you what your silver lining was. I'm going to try to cut it down so it's not like 20 minutes of me talking about morality.
I think we might need some filler on this episode though, so also.
Oh, okay. Well then never mind. How about if I just say, what was your silver lining?
I really liked Dr. Shields' character until I realized what her motivation was. Like, I thought her parts were all like, just like I said before, they were very good, they were very creepy, and until it was revealed, I really didn't know where it was going to end up going. I know that you said that like around like chapter 6 you're like, oh, you thought you had figured it out? Was that true?
It was totally not accurate.
Oh, okay,
okay. What I thought was going to happen with this book, I thought the reason Kristen hated it was that it was a Scarlet Letter sort of situation, by which I mean, I'm not really referencing Scarlet Letter in general. I'm referencing a specific edition in which the back of the book says, and the preacher is the father, essentially, which is like the big spoiler in the book. So I thought that what was going on with this book was that the entire time it was going to be the psychiatrist kept talking to her from a distance and would like send her letters and things like that and never be revealed. And then the big twist, and like she would like fall in love with him or something because she thinks he's a guy at first. And then the big twist is that it's a woman. And that was like, so I thought that was that the her being a woman thing was going to end up being the big twist because they were hitting the, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. Which, so hard.
Yeah, we never even talked about that. I forgot.
Yeah, but and then, you know, the fact that like the cover of the book has 2 women on it, so obviously Dr. Shields is a woman. Like, right. So I thought that was the situation, that was going to be the big twist, and that everybody who looked at the cover of this book would know that was the twist. But that got resolved about like 15% of the way through the book, so it turned out not to be that.
It really irritated me until that point, though.
Yeah, right?
I just assumed he was a man. Whatever. So I thought, let's see. So the reason I originally liked Dr. Shields a lot, or well, I mean, I still liked her throughout most of the book, except for I thought she had stupid motivation. But the reason I liked her initially was because I thought that she was like grooming Jess to be like her best friend and confidant, and then eventually would trick Jess into killing Thomas for her.
That would have been fun.
That would have been a very good way to do that.
Isn't that, and I don't know because I haven't seen it, but isn't that what that Anna Kendrick movie is? A small favor, a little favor, something like that.
I haven't seen that.
I think that might be the plot of that. So maybe go watch that movie if that's what you're looking for. Because, like I said, I haven't seen it. I don't know. But I think it's something along those lines.
Okay. I'll have to look into it then.
Yeah.
But
I could be completely wrong. I've only seen the trailer.
But, yeah. But then the ending sucked. So, that made me sad.
Wasn't great.
No. Did you relate to anyone in this book?
Yes. Also, the ending, no one got murdered, like, at all in this book.
Yeah,
and
no
that was
one
a big
died
downer.
except April. And well,
she
I guess
herself.
Dr. Shields killed herself. But, like, yeah, no one was murdered, which...
So that was lame. I think the character I'm most related to was Lauren, who is the woman that Thomas supposedly had the affair with, but actually just owned a boutique and had nothing to do with the story, and was really annoyed that Farts was trying to drag her into this.
Yes.
And then when Farts like explained this, was like, "There's a man. Do you know this man?" And she's like, "No, he shopped here once, I guess." And she's like, "You got to be careful because like he's dangerous." And she was like, "I mean, go to the police."
Yeah.
And Farts is just like, "No, that would make too much sense. They'll never believe me with all of these texts and like proof that I have to back up that this is the situation that's happening."
She's so dumb. I know. Like, tell the police you're involved in something that makes you uncomfortable, and they can
don't even go to the police. Again, go to the fucking department head at the university and be like, "Hey, so one of your professors, this seems sketchy. Could you like, I don't know, look into this? And also like, I am telling you so that if I get murdered, like y'all know what's up."
Should have just left her some bad Yelp reviews.
Yeah.
Not a good therapist. 1 star. Made me try to have sex with a man.
Turned out to be her husband. Very confused.
Tried to do Prisoner's Dilemma on me, but I had read Facebook. Was smarter.
Out-dilemmaed her. How about you? Who did you relate to? Dr. Shields?
No. Well, yeah, but no. I liked Jess's dog, Leo.
Wow, that was scraping the very bottom of the barrel.
I like dogs. I didn't relate to really anyone in this book because I thought all their motivations were stupid and they were for the most part unlikable, both by design and not. So
yeah, I think the most glaring one is probably Thomas because, like I said, like they do that thing again at the end where they're like, they've built him up as a red herring. And then they're like, "Oh, he's basically a good guy." And I'm like, but he
wasn't. He did a big bad.
You can't make me think that this guy could be a murderer and then like turn around 2 seconds later and be like, he's basically a good guy. Like, no, you've laid the groundwork for something else.
He can't be part hero of the story. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't work. And I mean, I don't think he super was, but he kind of was.
Like, yeah, like he was gonna go to the cops and stuff, but. So they tried to like present Jess and Thomas as this partnership, and then, but also like it was very like ambiguous partnership, which was cool. But then, like you said, like there needed to be I feel like I didn't get enough retribution on Jess's behalf, I guess. Like, I feel like something definitely worse than blackmail should have happened to Thomas.
Yeah, because, like, he kind of caused, like, 2 women to kill themselves a little bit.
A little bit.
And again, like, I don't, and that's why I'm kind of uncomfortable being like, oh, it was, what's-her-face's fault. Not farts, the other one.
Shields.
Shield. It was Shield's fault that, Experiment 626 died.
Subject 5.
So different.
Also called April.
No.
Experiment 66.
No, 626. It's a Lilo and Stitch reference. It's like, I feel uncomfortable saying it was Shield's fault that she died, because it's like she was depressed for a very long time, and like
that's
had
true.
been suicidal for a very long time, and
just
definitely what Dr. Shields did not help her. But again, is she actually culpable for that? Like, I don't know. But
the Vicodin was definitely
giving her the Vicodin not helpful, not good.
30
not
pieces of Vicodin.
Yeah, but she is correct in that she didn't put it in her mouth and like rub her throat like a dog, you know? Like,
that's true. Okay.
I thought what was going to happen was that it was going to be revealed that in one of the 18,000 glasses of wine that was drunk in this book, she had put the Vicodin into that and actually killed her.
That would have also been good.
Because that would have made sense.
That would have been good.
No.
All right. I'm going to make a survey. Question 1. Agree or disagree? Or how strongly do you agree with who is to blame in this murder? Suicide.
Death.
Death. Is it on a scale of the 5-point scale? Disagree. They strongly disagree. Disagree. Do not agree or disagree. Agree or strongly agree.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Is Dr. Shields responsible?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Or is this a survey we're giving to the audience?
I need you to go deeper, Em.
Okay. I would say, so it's 1 to 5, right? With
yes.
1 is disagree strongly and 5 is agree strongly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would say 4, maybe 4-3 territory.
All right. So either you slightly agree or you neither agree nor disagree.
No, I slightly disagree.
Wait, which one was 1 and
2.
which one was 5?
Wait, fuck, how do surveys work? We were the ones who were bad at research this whole time.
No,
okay, sorry, I did get it backwards. So if 1 is strongly disagree.
Yes.
I feel like 1 should be strongly agree, shouldn't it? Isn't that usually how it goes?
It usually goes, like, if you're going from left to right, it starts at disagree.
It usually went...
and ends on agree.
Right, but I think usually they do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I think 1 is usually... This is nothing.
Okay, we know a lot of psychologists out there with PhDs. Tell us how we could have made this survey better.
Please do the survey for us.
Please do the survey so that we can find out what everyone thinks about who was the most guilty party.
Yes.
And, yep, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for your time.
We will pay every participant $500.
We will not do that. I do not have $500. So what would you rather be reading?
Yes. Mine might be kind of an obvious answer, but I'd rather be reading You by Caroline Kepnes.
Yeah, okay.
Which is also told in, for those of you that don't know or haven't watched the Netflix series, which I haven't yet, but I've heard good things.
I've heard mixed things.
That You is about let me look up his name.
It's about Gossip Girl.
What?
The guy who's in it. He's the guy who's Gossip Girl.
See, I didn't even know that much.
Pretty sure.
See, the problem with just searching for You on Goodreads.
That's not good. It's going to return a lot of...
His name is Joe. Yes, his name is Joe. Basically, this woman comes into the bookstore where he works, and he becomes a little bit obsessed with her, and it is kind of like a dark, spiraling series of events where what happens when someone gets a little bit too obsessed with an individual and the lengths they will go to have them. And it's also told in the second person. So a lot of like kind of parallels there. But this one ends, I liked the ending, and I rated this a little bit higher than I rated Anonymous Girl. So
cool.
Give it a shot. There's also a sequel. I don't know anything about the sequel though. What would you rather be?
Okay, so this is like probably the biggest stretch I've ever made while still trying to connect it to it, because usually if I'm stretching this far, I'm just like, fuck it, I just wanted to read this book, but I am going to try to connect this. Okay, so the idea of what I thought this book was going to be, where I thought it was going to be the psychiatrist communicating with her all via letters and like giving her instructions and telling her what to do and whatever. Kind of Black Mirror, that one episode of Black Mirror, you know? That's what I thought this book was going to turn into. Do you know which episode I'm talking about?
I'm too scared to watch Black Mirror.
Oh, I love Black Mirror.
I've watched like 3 episodes, so
have you watched San Junipero? Because that one's legit. That one's not scary.
Think I watched that by way of like Michael was watching it, and I was there.
Great.
I don't know if my eyeballs were on the screen, but I know the gist of that one.
That one's good. Okay, so there's an episode. Oh, God damn it! There's an episode of Black Mirror where like the guy is getting instructions to do stuff. I think this is also a movie now. There's a movie with this premise. Okay. He's getting instructions to do stuff, and there's also like a urban legend about this kind of like the gray whale challenge or the blue whale challenge, something like that. But essentially, it's like you get instructions to do stuff, and they escalate and escalate and escalate, and eventually you're doing.
I watched the movie because it had Dean Franco in it. What is it called?
Here's the thing: none of this matters because it doesn't relate to what I'm talking about, and I've let us so far astray. But okay,
I think Emma Robertson, is that
quite
her name?
Possibly.
Emma Roberts. That movie was bad, but I enjoyed it.
Wait, Dean Franco?
Dean? Yeah, isn't that his name?
Who's Dean Franco?
James Franco's little brother.
It's not Dean.
Oh, what is his name?
Not Dean.
Yeah, it's not Dean. Dave. You know what? I'm very bad at names. It's definitely Dave Franco, guys, and Dean Franco is some nerd I just Googled. Which is mean. He's a professor of English at Wake Forest. Such a nerd.
Huge big nerd. Anyway.
But Dave Franco, very attractive.
Yeah, sure. This is so far off the rails.
Is he married to Alison Brie, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for real.
That is a very attractive couple.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, this doesn't matter.
Go on.
That is what I thought this book initially was. And
that would have been good. I would have read that.
It reminded me of another book that is like that, except a romance, which sounds terrible and actually probably is pretty terrible, but I still really like it.
Could we get Dean Dave Franco to star in it?
Actually, there is a movie of it with, what's his face? A famous man. Fred Astaire.
That narrows it down quite a bit.
Fred Astaire, fuck off. But I don't like the movie version because I don't like it. Anyway, the book I'm talking about is called Daddy Longlegs. It's from 1912. It was written by Gene Webster. And I actually really like it because of the Paul Gordon musical that is based on it. So that's really kind of more what I'm drawing from. But I do like the book too. Although it is really creepy in like describing it. It's about this young woman who is an orphan, and she gets this benefactor who pays for her to go to school on the condition that she has to write him letters to like tell him of her progress. So the whole book is like her letters to him. And he does not write back or he comes into it saying like he's not going to write back or have any correspondence with her. And it goes on, and she kind of falls in love with this other guy, but she has all these weird like unresolved feelings towards the guy that she's writing to, who she addresses as Daddy Longlegs because all she knows about him is that he is tall. So she like writes to him over like several years while she's going to college, and it goes on, and there's a big twist at the end, but it's like not really a twist if you like the musical. It's pretty upfront about it from the beginning, but I think it's kind of a twist in the book. But it's a very interesting book. Again, kind of problematic in terms of like it's a romance between two people who are very like not matched in terms of the power that they have over each other's lives. But I'm giving it a pass because it was written in 1912 and things were more problematic then.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's also I think pretty widely available for free because it is in the public domain at this point. So,
and you said it's a movie?
It is a movie from the 50s, which I don't particularly enjoy. And then it is a musical, which I really, really like the musical. And
okay.
It's got a lot of bops in it.
Oh, damn it, I just googled daddy long legs and got pictures of spiders.
Yeah, you're gonna get spiders. That's gonna get you spiders.
I hate it.
All right, so let's move on to, because that pretty much wraps it up for this fortnight, right?
Yeah, except for, did you know that Dave Franco's 33?
I mean, I didn't, but that doesn't super surprise me.
I thought he was younger than me.
Well, he's not.
Good. Good. At least someone isn't.
Okay, I'm so excited about our next challenge.
That makes me so nervous because every time you've been really excited, we've read like literal garbage.
I don't think this is gonna be like straight up Moon People level, but I think it's gonna take us a lot of places, and I'm very excited. So
gracious me. I
came at this thinking, because we've been talking a little bit about like kind of the direction we want this podcast to go in, and one of the things I mentioned was that I like when we have authors who are very well known. Mm-hmm. So I thought, kind of like our Chris Harrison episode, maybe we could do another like celebrity author who was a celebrity before they wrote things. And my first thought was Model Land by Tyra Banks, but you can't get that on Kindle.
I wanted to do that too. It's so fucking long.
It's so long and you can't get on Kindle. And then I found that Fabio, the guy in the romance novel covers, he's written some books, and I wanted to do those, but I could only find them on Amazon for like $90, and that wasn't
never mind.
So this is what I've got. I'm gonna tell you the title of the book, and I'm gonna read the synopsis, and then I want to see if you can guess who wrote this. Please do not cheat.
I won't. I'm not. Here's my hands. You can see them here. I'm not typing. Okay.
So the title of this book.
No, I'm just kidding.
The title of this book is Rebels.
By Rebel Wilson.
City of Indra, the story of Lex and Livia. Okay?
Oh, okay.
In a world of the far future, the great city of Indra has two faces, a beautiful paradise floating high in the sky and a nightmare world of poverty carved beneath the surface of the earth. Lex grew up in an orphanage deep in the dark, but even as a child she instinctively rebelled against her fate, the time when she would be judged either useful to society or forced to live among the mutations in rock bottom. I don't know if that's a SpongeBob reference, but the lowest level. When she is chosen to become an elite cadet of the population control forces, only her fellow cadet Kane truly understands her longing for freedom. Unknown to her, one girl secretly shares her defiance. Livia Cosmo, the orphan heiress, which is spelled Airess. I don't know what the deal is with that.
I hope it's because they live in the air.
Well, may live on a sky island surrounded by wealth and privilege, but she is just as restricted as Lex. Rigid discipline governs her every movement as she learns the art of becoming a proper young woman, all caps, the belle of the emergence ball, caps, ready to be picked for cohabitation by the finest of the proper young men, all caps. Her future is assured until an intriguing encounter with a young man named Kane changes everything. For that is when Lex's and Livia's destinies collide. Approached by an old enemy to help save Kane from mortal danger, Lex sacrifices her special ops career to find him in the islands among the clouds. Her search, high above in the beautiful spires of the city of Indra, brings her instead to the air girl Livia. Lex and Livia should have nothing in common, and yet they share a kindred yearning for escape from the strict rules that bind them. ... and a mystifying identical mark. Brought together by danger, they set out to find Kane, but what they discover is even stranger than either dreams. Either dreams? Then either dreams? Then either dreams. We'll fix it in editing.
Why was that synopsis so long?
It was very long.
Can I get a hint on like industry?
I'm not going to give you a hint on industry, but I am going to tell you it's 2 authors. I mean, there's actually 4 authors. There's 2 ghostwriters, and then the 2 famous authors.
Oh my god!
But there's 2 authors involved, 2 famous.
Are they
involved.
like typically known to be together?
Yes.
So like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie.
Yeah, sort of.
Final
like that.
answer. Oh, okay. No, not final answer.
Paris Hilton does have a book out, but it's nonfiction, so we couldn't do that one.
Dang it. Oh, it sounds so terrible. I don't know. I was gonna say LeVar Burton.
So I'll give you another hint, I guess. One of these young women is I think has been going around recently that she is the youngest self-made billionaire.
Oh my god. What?
And a lot of people have been debating whether or not someone in this family can claim to be self-made, as this is a very famous family.
Yeah. So okay. So, oh my god. I wish is it? Oh my god. Jenner. But
Yep.
I don't know any of their names besides Kim Kardashian.
Kendall and Kylie, baby.
Oh my god. Why did they do this?
And they did it fairly recently too. It was 2016.
Oh my god. I just Googled. Kendall and Kylie Jenner wrote 2 sci-fi novels, and I read them both because I do not love myself. I think I'm going to have to read this article before we record.
Oh man.
God.
Yeah, as
2?
long as
They wrote 2 sci-fi novels?
There's a sequel. As long as this synopsis was, I left out the part about how they're on the reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Oh my god.
And I think this should be interesting because number one, I don't think Kendall and Kylie actually had anything to do with this. It was probably all ghostwriters, as most celebrity books are. But it will be interesting to see because usually, like when celebrities do fiction, it ropes into their brand somehow, right? Like, you know, Chris Harrison, romance. Who's the other one? Tyra Banks model. Naomi Campbell like had a book that was super ghostwritten but is also about modeling. I don't know. This just doesn't seem on brand for their whole thing, right?
Yeah, I'm really curious
like
about
sci-fi
this.
dystopia like doesn't seem what I would pitch for them. So I want to see how it goes.
I hate it already. It's short though, thank god.
Yeah, it's not a long one. So if you guys want to check out our coverage of the Kendall and Kylie Jenner super great novel, Rebels, City of Indra, the story of Lex and Livia, we will be covering that next fortnight.
Oh god, does my library have this book? That'd be hilarious.
Until then, you can tweet at us at HateReadcast on Twitter if you would like to participate in our research trials.
Where we definitely won't make you kill our cheating husband.
Or you can email us, hatereadcast@gmail.com, if you have like a book suggestion. This was a listener suggestion. We really enjoy covering listener suggestions because there is more room for us to not hate it, because we're pretty good at picking out books that we will hate.
Yes,
because we've been
very
doing this
true.
for a while. But generally, well, not always, but generally, if listeners suggest stuff, it's maybe we won't hate. We have more hope going in, I think, than we do when the two of us torture each other for months on end.
Make us read a book by Kendall and Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, baby.
So sad. But that's okay. They're self-made billionaires or whatever, so it's fine.
Thank you, as always, to Ben Cope for the use of our theme song. You can find his YouTube in the show notes below.
Yes, and if you are not yet subscribed to us, you should do that on whatever podcasting aggregating platform that you use, because we are probably on all of them. But if you do use iTunes, we would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review, because it helps other people find our wonderful podcast and to help us have listeners.
Yeah,
that
also
listen
tell
to our
someone about
podcast.
us, like face to face. That's something I'm pushing now. Like,
Yeah, use your mouth hole.
Tell another human being that you know to listen to us.
And listen, we know other human beings aren't great, but surely there is one that you know that would love our podcast. In the words of Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen, a smile formed at the mere mention of Thomas's name. My step felt lighter, even my core temperature, which, since my childhood, had been consistently recorded at 96.2, well below the average of 98.6, rose by a degree. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sure. Every fortnight here on HateRead. HateRead?
HateRead? Hello.
That's not the name
Welcome
of our
to
podcast.
HateRead.
HateRead.